Hello and welcome to Husky Hoops. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me, as always, finally, the coach. It's go time. Dave Schumann, who was up until 4 a.m. yesterday, probably working on his program.
No, I'm sick as a dog.
Shoot,
Oh,
your
so
hair's a little ruffled. Looks like
Oh man,
somebody ran their fingers through your hair.
it would be called "Can't Feel My Body."
Oh man,
I'm a
the
mess.
gamer. You're a football player. You're tough.
he's
You
got
know what?
he's
There's
got
one
the old
thing I'm
man
bad
lump.
at when I'm sick. I don't know why. I can handle a lot, but when I'm sick, it's just like holy cow. Oh,
And then we have the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Mr. Joe D'Ambrosio. Joe,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
everyone. How are we?
We are great. We are great. We had a phenomenal week for Uconn basketball, and I'm excited to dive in and talk about it.
Let's do it.
Talk about it all. And hopefully our friend Maria will join us shortly. We had several games and we talked about them before they happened. Um, Providence was the night of last week's show,
Yep.
and we came out with a victory there, 103 to 98. 103 to 98. Um, I
In
think
overtime.
it was, yeah, which was really surprising to see that happen. But again, we're seeing the performance of Mullins. I mean, just the evolution. He's improving every game. 24 points he had here. 24 points. He had 2 steals. He had 3 assists and 4 rebounds. I 2 rebounds. I thought that was incredible that he has been so dependable and reliable as a freshman and
Well,
hitting.
he's as advertised. Dan Hurley had
Yeah,
chalked him up a lot, and it wasn't just coach's rhetoric. This kid's the real deal. In every game, you see a little something else that he does. I know when we get to talk to Seton Hall, we'll talk a little bit about his defense. Um, but he's going to have games like any shooter where the ball doesn't go through the hoop, but he can impact games in other ways. Um, look, the kid's the missing piece. I mean, he's been
the
great.
missing link. He's the
You know, you
missing link.
wonder you wonder if they would have lost that Arizona game if one of the two kids, either him or Willis Reed Jr., had been um, had been available. And I know it's not
Exactly.
Willis Reed, everybody out there, so he's up. I know it's Terrace Reed. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, no, Mullins was great. Mullins helped bail him out again. Well, they got a lot of good performances. I'll tell you the one guy who I had a little bit on my radar um, earlier in the year, and has played much better as of late, and that's point guard one. That's
Yeah.
Silas Emery Jr.
Yes.
Um,
He's improved.
Again, much like I think Sarah Williams with the women, had to find his footing, had to understand exactly what it is that they want him to do as the point guard, and he's been terrific. I trust the game in his hands now, um, much more than I did earlier, which I'm sure makes him feel better. But
And he
he's been
said
great
that
too.
too. He
He's been
said
great
that
too.
too. It would take time to adjust and not to give up on him just yet. And that has been the case. I mean, he had 23 points and he had, I believe it was 5 steals and 15 assists, which
Yeah.
was incredible, which was so good to see just the way he was distributing the ball. And then
One thing I want to just
yeah,
point out here, and it's one of the things that bugs me. a little bit, and this isn't, and just the word assist is a nice word, but you only get an assist if people are making shots. If
Right.
people
They have
aren't
to
making
convert.
shots, you
Correct.
could be Bob Cousy or Clyde Frazier, and you're not getting an assist if the ball doesn't go in the basket. So that's on him getting the ball to the guys, and it's also on the Balls and Reeds and Caravans and Mullins to make those shots. But no, he's been.
Exactly.
I really like the way he's come around. You know, I really like the way that
Exactly.
he's played. They brought him in to be Tristan Newton 2.0, and he's starting to trend in that direction.
And Caravan was Caravan. He had his game. And Terrace Reed was the one I was impressed with because he played 36 minutes
Right.
and he had 20 points, 8 boards. It was good to see him play that long. And he didn't foul out. I mean, he had 4 fouls, but he didn't foul out, and it went into overtime. So, he's been playing 20 to 23 minutes a game. He's 30 plus, and he was able to stay on the floor. And he is such a difference maker for them, being a big man in the paint. Yeah.
Huge. I think Rybaugh, who's been good, has started to.
Yeah.
The Big East has caught up with him a little bit, which
I
is
think, yeah.
expected for a freshman big man. So it's more incumbent on than ever for Reed to stay on the floor. And as you said, Steve, the fact that he was able to do that, play that many minutes in the Providence game, is only because he stayed out of foul trouble. And it's the same thing with Demery. When Demery's not in foul trouble, they can play him extended minutes. And Malachi Smith, who I'm not as enamored with as I am with Demery, can be used in just short bursts. But I just think it's there she is. There's the queen of the ball.
Yes. Uconn legend and Western Connecticut State University head coach Maria Conlon. You just have to
Your hair's
unmute.
almost a little bit more messed up than Schumann's in, and Schumann's sick. What's
You
your
just
excuse?
has to unmute herself.
Would you just roll out of the sack?
Nah, I've been up for hours. I've been putting together a cabinet for my parents.
Yes.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I needed to do something not basketball related this morning, or else I was going to jump off a cliff. So,
I get that.
Yeah.
So, Maria, we were just talking, and I told the boys that I think the biggest difference over the past couple of weeks for this team is I think the point guard is finally starting to find his rhythm and play the way they expected him to. And I also said, and you can disagree or agree, I said, Stevie mentioned the assists, and I said assists are great, but you need somebody to make shots. You could be Bob Cousy or Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird or Mariah Jefferson, and if people aren't making the shots, you're not getting the assists. So that's kind of a team stat to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you got kids, listen, you're always going to have more assists when shots are going in, right? No matter what. Right. So.
Yeah,
but yeah, I thought he's looked great, point guard. I agree with you. I think
and
that's what, we were saying that early on. Like I just didn't know about that point guard spot yet, but I think to your point, that's made a huge difference.
Yeah, I think because as I said to the boys, I said if Demery stayed on the floor and playing better, then you don't have to use Malachi Smith as much. And I think he's only better in short bursts.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's as good of a floor general either.
No, he dribbles too much.
Yeah,
he dribbles way too much for me.
Yeah. And Stewart was off the bench. We didn't get as much out of him, but he did get 5 rebounds. And Solo had 10 points. He didn't score as much this game. He
shot crappy against Providence.
Yeah, he couldn't find the basket. He was 3 of 10 shooting. Dave, what were your thoughts on this game?
Seton Hall game was I thought was
No, Providence.
Providence. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't really watch the Providence game. I only saw clips. So I mean,
yeah.
I
was shocked it went into overtime.
Games that I think the emergence of Paris Reed as like the leading scorer, like averaging 17 points or whatever it is a game, and you know, having the rebounds close to 10 rebounds a game is a game changer. Every one of the teams that won the national championship had a great guard, that's why it's great, point guard, which is why it's great that Demery's playing well, and a center that can dominate. And I think that's what Reed is starting to really do. I mean, he's a big, strong guy. He is putting in a lot of minutes. I think the difference with Demery is he's a big point guard. You know, he's a big point guard. So he's not just like he's quick, but he's also like physical. Like he could use his body to do a lot of different things. And he does. Like, I mean, he's hard. He's not the easiest guy to go around on defense either, you know, for him when he's playing defense, because he's so long and he's big. So, I mean, it's interesting. I watched the Seton Hall game in depth. I when you get to that one, I have some specific views on that. But I mean, those are two things that I've really kind of seen most over the last few games.
Joe, were you concerned at all that this game went into overtime with Providence?
Well, they were down 13 points, so it was fortuitous.
No, I know.
I mean, they were playing like crap. Providence was playing great, and then they turned the momentum around. So, no, I wasn't. I mean, you know what, Steve? Regular season games, I'm not going to be, unless it's a trend on a one-game basis. I think concerned is a little strong. You know, if you lose 2-3 games in a row in the Big East, then I would say you'd be concerned. But look, they almost lost Providence. They could have lost Seton Hall.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no.
I mean, and they won, so it's a good sign.
You're right. No, I mean, they were down 10 at Providence going into the half. They rallied back in the second half, and then in overtime, they took it over and won the game with 14 points to Providence's 9. It was a good showing just to see them overcome adversity. You know, we've seen them be this juggernaut for so long, and to see them overcome adversity is good. And I think it'll pay dividends in the long run. Just the DePaul game was 72-60. It just was blah for me. I mean, they looked okay. They didn't look great. Mullins had 16. Caron had 15. And Reed only had 8. He only played 24 minutes, got in the foul trouble as usual, and Demery had 14. But it just it's to me, it's like in football, it kind of just seemed like they played down to the level of their competition. They didn't play their best. But what were your thoughts on this?
The game was never in danger. They were never in danger.
No, they weren't.
I think there was a hangover from the Providence game. So I mean, look, everybody gives you this stuff about DePaul being a better team. Well, that's all well and good, but they're still not in UConn's class.
No, they do, and they definitely do. And they're not in UConn's class. And you know, everyone was talking about their record because they have 10 wins already, but they're 2-4 right now in the Big East, and I think it was a lot for UConn because they really had 3 games last week, and I think that was the first time in a while that they've had 3 games in 1 week. And then obviously we move on to the moneymaker, which I'm so happy, the Seton Hall game, because Mr. Big East Energy Mark Zanato went on and was saying that Seton Hall was going to beat him, and we were going to struggle. And
Mark Zanato was saying that, Mr. Uconn.
Yeah, he was he was pushing Seton Hall. I mean, that was one of his teams when he lectured me on the Big East being a great conference, and we would get 5 teams into the tournament. Seton Hall would be one of them. But it was good to see, again, we fought this game. This game was a battle, and this is a team we have struggled against the last couple of years, getting
Well,
victories.
struggle
against them.
down there, not in Connecticut.
Right.
You know, first straight losses down there.
Right.
You know, look,
But-
I mean, I would say the one disturbing trend from that game is they were up by 18.
Yes.
And unlike the women's teams, like when Maria played or Stewie played, or even now, when you go up by 18 against the Uconn women, it never gets to single digits. It gets to 30. This team has not come up with the formula for doing that. And part of that the other night was credit to Seton Hall because of the constant pressure they put on. But, you know, to get out of there with a win after losing 4 in a row was a good sign. Again, you know, Maria, we started off while you were constructing the dresser about Mullins. And I said, even when he's not scoring now, and he scores every game, but even when he's not scoring, he can impact the game. And that block shot he had near the end of regulation was huge.
Oh, yeah, that was a great play.
I mean, you can speak to it from a coach's perspective. Coming from the side angle, so there was no chance he was going to blow into the kid was just great.
Textbook defensive play right there. Like, you got kids out there, you're a young coach, like, have them watch that block. That's textbook. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. And Reed again, I mean, he led the way. The only thing we didn't like, we saw his free throw shooting. He was only 5 from 13 from the line. He missed some critical ones down the stretch. Solo Ball did as well. He had the 1-and-1, and I think he missed both of them there. But Reed again had 21 points. He had 9 boards, and Caron had 13 points, 5 boards. Mullins was your third scorer with 11 points, 3 boards, and 2 assists. And that was great to see. And the 2 blocks and 3 steals. So just the way he's contributing is, again, he's just growing. He looks more fluid, more confident out there, and his contributions are truly making a difference. And he's going now. He's playing 30 plus minutes a game. So that I thought was incredible as well. Dave?
Are we talking Reed? You're saying playing 30?
No, you said you had Seton Hall thoughts. We want to hear them.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm you know what up, messed up. Yeah. So I'll tell you this. I thought they were going to blow them out. I mean, I watched that whole game.
God damn you, Christy.
It looked like they were going to blow them out, and I was shocked and disappointed that Seton Hall was able to creep in, and the foul shooting down the stretch was actually bad. I mean,
yeah, it was atrocious.
At one point, we missed 4 or 5 in a row, and I thought that part was but the fact that they were able to hang on was good. I know Earl was trying to got that monkey off his back with Seton Hall because that's where he played. But you know, Reed again was. I mean, if you can make foul shots, some of these games are going to be easy blowouts.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Line a lot, and I mean that's something that has to get work on his standpoint because he's literally dominating inside the paint. And
we were up 6, remember? And he got fouled and missed the 2-8. Yeah.
I mean, he's getting to the line over and over again. So, which is what you want, but he's got to make those shots. I thought at the end of the game when Seton Hall was coming back and they were pressing them, I thought we struggled a little bit with that, which
yes.
I mean, we turned the ball over pretty easily a couple of times, and we inbounded. They stole it, I think, twice. Right off the inbound, they got a bucket late. So they missed the other one. They off the inbound, they stole it. They got a bucket. We got the ball back. They stole it again. They missed it, and we got the rebound. I think that's how we won the game.
Right. Because we were going nuts about it.
Yeah, I mean, that part has to get, I guess, cleaned up. But again, he plays a lot of guys too. Like I noticed we were up by a lot. He substituted guys out, and I don't remember who he substituted out, but that was the beginning of the run that they went into. He rotated guys in at that point. We were up by I don't remember what, a lot.
Yes. It was when they were out of the game. Those guys was Reed.
I thought the game was over. I almost turned it off, and then he brought in a few guys off the bench, and then they went on a run. So I don't know, with Hurley, it's I think he likes to play a lot of guys because it feels like that experience down the stretch is going to help them. So, putting them in those situations, I think it is good. I thought the Big East was terrible in the men's, but they're not as bad as I thought. So, watching these at least the last two games that I watched, they're not that. These teams aren't really. I mean, Seton Hall is pretty good. They're going to make the NCAAs if they keep playing the way they are. And these other teams are not that bad. They're getting a year they weren't that great, but they're getting better.
Yeah, and Chris D, I'm not reading the game write-ups verbatim. I'm reading statistics and talking about what I saw verbatim, not reading it. Just so you know.
Okay, Christy, he's just up on ChatGPT getting his info. That's all it is.
And then I like this though. He said that the team reminds him of George Mason team in 2006. They have the talent to win it all, but no killer instinct. And Joe, that's something you've said as well. You agree with that?
I don't think they're like George Mason at all. I had a better team than George Mason was. George Mason just caught lightning in the bottle. So
I mean a better team than the Uconn team that they had in 06. I think he meant.
No, I think he said George Mason. They remind him of the George. Oh, maybe he means the team that lost. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I don't. I think it's early to make that judgment. I mean, there's plenty of season left to figure it out. So I'm not ready to crucify him totally for that.
And he's like you. He does not like Malachi Smith as the backup point guard. He thinks he's terrible. And he says Providence.
Terrible's a little strong, but he
didn't say terrible. He says Malachi's out of his league. We should not have brought him in.
I mean, you gotta make do with what you have.
You do. And he's Providence. Providence is a bad team. What did you think? Because I saw this happen. St. John's fired their general manager. I was a little surprised by that news. What did you think, Joe?
Well, here's the funniest thing about that. Patino said he knew nothing about it. Give me an effing break. He's got his fingerprints over everything in the program. He hired the guy. The general manager answers to him. So it's just, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Maria, at some point, one of these people won't be Tom Moore because he'll go strictly by the book. But one of these general managers at one of these schools will overstep their bounds, and that's gonna be the tipping of the iceberg for finding out really what's going on as far as paying these kids is concerned.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like you're not even close to scratching the surface on like what's really going on here.
Right.
And Maria, I'm sorry, what were your thoughts on the Seton Hall game? Obviously, it was a great win and everything, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that would be one of our harder ones. Honestly, I don't think Seton Hall's that bad. I actually think they're pretty good. They got some decent pieces. I mean, listen, like it's a long season. They're gonna catch
It's a grind.
the men on a. If the men played a perfect game, or not perfect, but a better game, I don't think it's close at all. But like that's gonna happen in the grind of the season. I think you're gonna run into that. So the Uconn women might too. Where you're just not playing well on a certain night, and then it just goes a little further. I mean, I think we're dramatically better than Seton Hall. But yeah, I mean, I think that was it. I think the important part is that we did what we had to do to win. Right. At
Yes.
the end of the day, you don't go to the NCAA tournament and they don't say, well, you only beat this team by 2, right? Like, there's no basis of that, of how many points you're beating teams by. It's, are you getting it done when it matters? And we did.
Yep.
Exactly. And again, like they don't play 3 games in a week for a while. So I think that was a
By the way,
factor as
that's
well.
like really tough. We had that last week. There's
Yeah.
always 1 week a year where we have that,
Yeah.
especially if you're traveling. Like 2 of our
Yeah.
3 were away. It's a grind. It really is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because they were at Providence, even though it is a short trip, and they were at Seton Hall, and they had DePaul at home. But 3 victories, 3 Big East wins, and we're definitely taking the lead and showing who we are. We just have to have more consistency. And I think our players are developing nicely. It was great to see. And Seton Hall had just gotten in the rankings. And it'll be interesting to see if they remain there. I don't know.
I think
know
they
if
should. I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I
surprised
think
if they move up a little.
I think they
They-
should too.
Yeah, they were 25th, so I don't know. I'll
They
check
took
and
the
see.
number 3 team into overtime. That shouldn't affect their ranking. If anything, it should hurt. It should help.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Um, the ladies, the Uconn women, had an exceptional week as usual. They decimated St. John's 88-43. And Maria, as you said, Sarah Strong, wow. She had 24 points, 6 steals, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. And as you said, all left to do is have herself popcorn in the stands. She's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one other kid in the country, honestly, now that obviously because Juju isn't playing, in my opinion, that I like watching even close, even almost as much as I like watching Sarah Strong, and that's Michaela Blake's at Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it's almost pointless to talk about the women at this point of the season. I mean, listen, they got Notre Dame coming up on Monday.
I know.
Right? So, Notre Dame, the rivalry, we always tend to like make it a little bit interesting when it comes to Notre Dame.
Right.
But I feel like that's going to be our last interesting game for like the rest of the year till we get to March.
It really is. It really is because just nobody's close. Nobody comes close. AZ had 16 points and 1 rebound. And then KK, good to see her, again with, she got hurt before. She had 11 points, the 6 steals, and 4 assists. Just defensively, when you
she
see.
broke her nose, and I give her credit for coming back quick. That's not easy.
I know. It's crazy to me. And then 23 steals for a team. That just blows me away that they get them, that they do that well.
Yeah, I mean, again, listen, the scary part for everybody else is right now is that UConn can do load management, still win by a lot if they need to or want to.
Mm-hmm.
And the scarier part is that you got kids like Blanca that are just getting better and better every game. I just don't see anyone beating them left on their schedule. I don't know if you agree or not, Joe, but I just don't see
I
it.
totally agree. I think Tennessee up here will be 1,000 times different than it
100%. Yep.
was in Knoxville. I don't see Notre Dame being as. I agree with you. Unless there's foul trouble, I don't see Notre Dame, especially at Gamble, being a big competitor, and I sure as hell don't see anybody in the Big East being a challenge. My question, to kind of shift it, because it's I think Maria's right. It's silly to individualize the women's games because there's such blowouts. But tonight, before the game against Villanova, who's having a good year in the Big East, but is still, probably a 20-point underdog, is they're honoring the 2015 and 2016 championship teams. And I think, and Maria, I think you're going to be a little bit prejudiced in this. As good as those teams were, I still think the 02 team was the best team in UConn history.
I would say, and this is like, I'll just be 100% straight up. I think the 02 team had the best starting five in the history of college basketball.
Well, it's the WNBA Hall of Famers. Look at that.
Hands down, I think when you look at our complete 02 team to their teams, they definitely were dramatically deeper than us.
Yes.
I mean, our 02 team, it was just like, people forget, like, Morgan was hurt, right?
Right.
You had Ashley Valley as a freshman, Stacey Marin, who was a walk-on, and then me, Jess, and AB. That was it.
Yeah.
And then the starting five, because Kenitra Johnson left the year before.
Yeah.
We had no seniors. Or no, we had those 5 seniors. We had no juniors.
Right. Because you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
Well, no, Diana was a sophomore too. So they had 4 seniors and 1 sophomore.
Yeah. In the starting 5. And then the rest were like kids who didn't get much playing time the year before because we were so deep the year before. But I think that 15-16 team, like when you look at them from top to bottom, they were much deeper than us. But I'll take the 2002 starting 5 against any starting 5 in the history of college basketball.
I like that.
Totally agree. Totally. There's never been a better starting 5 in the women's game than Sue and Diana and Tamika and Asia and Di. Not even close.
Yeah. And then you throw Swin in there.
It's like, Swin.
I meant Swin. Swin. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so many Hall of Famers in that class.
I have a question.
You could have taken Sue and Dee, in my opinion, because that's the best backcourt that college basketball's ever seen. And put them even with 3 other like bigs in UConn history or whatever. And I still think it's the best starting 5.
I have a question. Why do you think there's such a separation now on the women's side of basketball with between UConn and everybody else in the Big East? Like it's continued to grow, right? It seems like that separation has grown tremendously. Is it that is there no coach that can have an impact to be able to recruit anywhere close to Gino?
I have a theory on this. I have a theory, Joe. I'm curious on your thoughts.
Okay.
Right? If you're a kid and you want an opportunity to win your league or win your league championship and you're not getting recruited by UConn, would you want to go to the Big East or would you want to go?
No, I'd rather go elsewhere.
Correct.
Because you're not beating UConn.
Correct. So like
you're not beating UConn. I think you'd
think
rather go anywhere else than the Big East. You think about
like Tanya Cardozo, right? Who was at Temple or Jamel, who was at Cincinnati back when we were in what was it? The AAC or whatever the heck they called it.
Yeah.
By the way, that's also, in my opinion, that always skews that 15, 16 championship teams and not getting
the AAC.
That league was so awful. It made the current Big East look like the SEC. But like, if you're a kid and you want to, like, back then, so if you're Tanya and you're coaching at Temple, you could try to get one of the best players out there that's not being recruited by UConn. How do you explain to them you're never going to win a league championship?
Right. No, you can't. You're 1,000% correct, Maria. That's a great. I had never thought of that before until you brought it up, and that's a great position. Is that why would you come to a Big East school knowing you're hitting your head against the wall playing against UConn? And to be honest with you, the rest of the competition's not great. It's not going to further your game.
Well, and you're not even gonna make the NCAA tournament.
Right.
You know what
No,
I mean?
I know.
Like, you're not gonna win your league. You're not gonna make the NCAA tournament, and unless for some reason you win the actual league tournament, which isn't gonna happen as long as UConn's there.
Well, and especially as long as it's at Mohegan Sun.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
Chris D, UConn versus Vanderbilt for the championship. Shea Dog will school the old man. Ashley Valley was Crashly because she always randomly ended up on the floor for no reason. Oh my God, Christy. And he says,
Chris, I would, Chris, if I had one piece of advice for Christy, I would try uncaffeinated. I would try caffeinated coffee.
And he said, because we don't spend the money on football. Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true. Or no, the other schools, they don't have football. But you would think that was the whole reason the Big East was expected to be a monster, better performing conference, was because most of the teams don't have football, and they would have the money to spend on basketball. So we haven't seen that develop other than really with St. John's and now Seton Hall. So do you think that'll change, Joe, where the Big East teams will
Villanova's
fundraise?
got some money. Villanova's got some money too.
Yeah.
I don't think Seton Hall has as much money as people think. I think there's 3 schools, men's basketball in the Big East, that have money is UConn, St. John's, and Villanova. It's not going to, without a bigger TV deal, these schools aren't going to have the revenue streams, and as much, Maria, as it impacts the men, it impacts the women 100 times more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does for sure.
It's too bad. But like Maria said, I mean, who knew, even with the men, I mean, who knew the AAC would be more competitive than the Big East was?
Joe, what year exactly did the Big East come back as a basketball conference?
It's always been a basketball conference.
Yeah.
It's never, I mean.
No, but I mean, didn't it disappear for a while?
No.
It never disappeared.
No, UConn left for a while.
Well, UConn was kicked out.
Oh, okay.
UConn didn't leave on their own.
Right.
UConn was kicked out. When the Big East didn't want to be affiliated with football schools. That's why UConn and South Florida and Cincinnati were told to hit the road. The Big East never left.
It's always been around. Okay.
It's always been the Catholic schools, and then they added Butler, Xavier, and Creighton.
Right. Okay. That was my fault.
And that was in 2013. 2013 was the last year that the Big East was the basketball league, and Rutgers too. I mean, Rutgers got tossed, but Rutgers willingly went
to the Big Ten. When did we come back?
2020.
It was 2020. Okay, so really it hasn't been that long.
7 years, I think it was, wandering the desert.
But yeah, I mean, again, UConn. Again, we don't have to talk about it. They decimated Creighton, 95-54, and we just see again complete annihilation. They go so deep into the bench, and Maria again, Blanca Quinones, 15 points. She's been the third scorer, and third highest scorer in pretty much every game. Like you said, she's that three-headed monster, and she comes off the bench and she provides that spark for them. She shoots very well from the field, and she does it all. She gets steals, she has assists, she rebounds. I mean, she's the real deal. But you said you don't see her cracking the starting lineup.
Well, I mean, listen, obviously she could, from a talent perspective, she could start right now. I mean, that's not an issue. But historically, Gino has, like, listen, they're undefeated. They're playing really, really well. Unless there's a legitimate reason to change that up at all, I don't see that
things
happen.
up. Yeah, you don't. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
But she also just might be a kid. Like, some kids are just much better when they can sit there for the first couple of minutes of the game, absorb it, take it all in, see what the defense is doing, see what's working on offense, and then come in and expose that. Like, you need that off the bench. And if she starts, what is she probably starting over Shade?
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
I don't think that's as much of a lightning bolt off the bench as Blanca is.
Yeah,
Right.
In my opinion.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Why change it? Doesn't make any sense to change it.
There's nothing wrong with being the best sixth man in the country.
Dave, what are your thoughts?
Dave's thinking he wants to go lay in bed. That's what Dave's
there's no doubt I'm going to lay in bed right after this. There's no doubt. First of all, the competition level, I was thinking about the whole time we were talking about this, and I was trying to figure out why in men's sports you're able to maintain like something relatively close to where UConn is, and in women it's not even close. Like, it's just not. Is it? There's not. Like, I was curious. I'm curious Maria's thoughts on this. Is it that they can't win it, or is there a like a camaraderie around it more than men? Like, men are really quick. I noticed it. Like, if things don't go the way they plan, to jump and transfer to another school so quickly, just so they can get the opportunity, regardless of whether they're going to win a championship or not. And I wonder if women would a lot more enjoy, like you said, being the sixth person on a team that is, a juggernaut, unstoppable. And because it's very interesting to me. Like, obviously Gino's great. Obviously he's, the greatest of all time. And that's, there's no doubt that's part of it. But I do wonder, like, there really is, even throughout the country, there's only a handful of teams that have a chance maybe to compete with the UConn women. Whereas in men's basketball, there's probably a lot more teams that would have that opportunity.
That are competitive, yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I think it's the easiest answer when it comes to UConn, right? Because they're unlike any other women's program out there.
Yep.
So you come to UConn, the thought is like you're not even a good UConn basketball player if you've never won a national championship, right? Like, there's always asterisks there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's always the thought is like, geez, like, and we've seen some kids leave from UConn over recent years. And a lot of it is because they are looking at that playing time, that prestige versus like the overarching being able to win. I just think listen, the men's side definitely has more money than the women's side. I think if the women's side was throwing around as much money as the men's side, maybe you would see it a little bit more frequently.
Okay.
But it's still pretty frequent. Like, I was in the portal yesterday. There's over 1,000 kids in the portal.
Yeah, the portal's crazy.
It's happening. I just don't think it's not happening at those bigger programs, like, because of the money factor. On the men's side, there's just so much more money.
Mm.
And I heard a thing this morning that they're changing the time of the basketball portal until after the Final Four, and it's only going to be open for like a couple of weeks.
They're trying to do that with everything. They're trying to limit the portal They cut it from a month to 15 days. That's what they're trying to do with everything because they think that's going to help to keep kids at the same school and help coaches as well. When in
It's one thing
reality,
that's. I'm
it
sorry. Go ahead,
rushes
Steve.
it rushes it. It ends up rushing things.
One thing that's funny, Maria, you were talking about kids leaving UConn, and there was a stretch where there would be one or two players who would leave a year. But you know what? Those kids went elsewhere and they never did anything.
Correct.
Right? You look at all the players that left because they were frustrated they weren't getting playing time, and they went elsewhere and they weren't great. None of them ever were all American. Maybe none of them were ever all conference even. So it's kind of unusual that
The only player,
the
in
Delaware
Delaware girl, the Delaware girl.
Deladon, but she didn't. That's what I was.
Yeah, she was never there.
But she was never. She never played a
She
season.
never showed. She never showed up.
Oh,
she had a sister with special needs that she was really close with, and she got homesick and wanted to go home. That's totally different.
That's
But that's the only kid. You're right. That's the
Okay.
only kid in the history of the
Okay.
program
I
to
was-
leave
that-
the program
That's all I was
and
saying.
shine somewhere else. It doesn't
Right.
happen.
And
And
look, you know what? I mean, here's the thing about Deladon. Wasn't she in the Maya Tina era? Could you imagine that team with Maya Tina and Elena Deladon?
No.
That might have been
And throw Renee Montgomery in there and some of the
Right.
other players. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
So loaded.
That would have
it's
been-
like almost not fair.
that would have ruined women's college basketball for a few years because that
100%.
team would have been so dominant.
Yep.
Yeah, she made Delaware relevant. The last thing I wanted to mention, it was sad news we heard about Caron Butler with cancer. Joe, what were your thoughts hearing about
I hadn't
that?
heard that.
Oh, you didn't hear that? Okay.
That's the first that I've heard of that.
Dave, did you hear that?
I didn't. I honestly
No.
did not know.
No. Okay. No, Maria.
Obviously,
No.
obviously that's sad.
All right. Well, maybe
So
I'm wrong.
let me tell you my Caron Butler story. When he was a freshman, you have to remember the circumstances from which he came.
Yeah.
That he came from. Stevie, I'm Googling. I don't see anything about Caron Butler with cancer.
Oh, good. Then that's good to know. Okay.
But anyway, so when Caron Butler came to UConn, he had come from a rough childhood in Racine, Wisconsin, and wasn't great around a lot of other people. And he came to UConn the time that not just Maria, but another freshman with an amazing personality came to UConn, and Diana Taurasi. So when you compared the two freshmen, personality-wise, there was no comparison. Now, Caron was a phenomenal player, obviously.
Yeah.
He had the biggest transformation between his freshman and sophomore years. And when he came back for his sophomore year, he was phenomenal to be around and deal with. And frankly, is one of my 5 favorite players that I've ever been around with UConn basketball. And
Wow,
is
that's great to hear.
is just as good a guy and has made so much out of his life. And I tell people, when people ask me, what did you like best about being the voice for 26 years? It was watching kids grow up from being teenagers into adults.
Yes.
And Caron Butler's at the head of the totem pole on that. Maria might be number 2 because she was pretty immature as a freshman. She thought she was hot shit from Durham. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just busting your ass, Conlon.
So Maria,
Hey, listen. I mean, Caron was our year, and
Yep.
His personality was so contagious. In his freshman year, they weren't very good. They went to like the NIT, I think.
correct.
And then sophomore year, they were really great.
They were great. Yes.
Like Caron was just one of those guys that you just wanted to be around.
Yeah.
He was just Electric. And I think your point about him and D at the same time is so spot on because, I mean, they got along really well from the first time they met each other, but it was kind of magnetic. And if you look at those classes, like there were 5 of them that started that year, Joe, and 5 of us.
Yeah.
So you had Caron, and then you had D on the other side.
Yeah.
You had Talik, and then you had me.
Yeah.
You had Scott Hazelton.
Yeah.
You know, and then you had AB, and then you had Denham. That was his first name.
Denham Brown?
Yeah, there you go.
Brown.
Denham Brown.
Well, he was later, wasn't he? Yeah, because he graduated in 06.
Who else was ours? There were 5.
I gotta look. I gotta look that up.
Shaman Tools.
Yes, right.
He was a great rapper.
Great rapper. And there was one other kid. I think he ended up transferring. I can't remember who it was. Because Shaman, Scott, and I think one other kid transferred.
Well, Scotty Hazelton left.
Scott transferred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was funny because all 5 of them kind of matched 5 personalities of us. And it might have been a walk-on now that I think about it.
Oh, they had Tony Robertson that year too.
No, he wasn't.
No, Tony's a year older than us.
He was older.
He wasn't 02. Okay.
But anyways, it was a magnetic time to be there. We all lived in the same dorm. You know, we schlepped it over to Gamble together. But Caron was just such a good dude. I mean, it was a bummer. We only got to be there for 2 years with him. But, you know, even when we see him now, like I went to the Miami-Boston playoff series, like 2 years ago to see AB.
You know who you're thinking of? Robert Swain.
Oh, yeah, Fuzz. Yeah, we saw
Fuzz.
Yeah. Another great guy. All great guys. But it was just it was a fun time, and Caron was just awesome. So I hope that your information is incorrect.
Yeah, I'm incorrect. I'm incorrect, obviously.
Where did you get that information?
It was all over social media. So.
Oh, you can't trust that stuff. That's AI.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
People forget. Let me give you one more Caron thing before we move on. Caron, and it's been forgotten because it came in a loss. But for Caron's second half against Maryland,
oh my
gosh,
at
the Carrier Dome in the Elite Eight may have been as good a half of basketball as any, and I'm going to put this out there, any UConn player ever had. He had 26 or 29 points in the second half and almost willed that team to victory over a Maryland team that went on and won the national championship. That was
I remember.
That was his farewell moment for UConn basketball, and it was Oscar award winning. It was so good.
I think we were in Milwaukee for that, and we watched it as a team. And the only reason I remember it being Milwaukee specifically, and here's a great UConn alum story too. So we played in Milwaukee. Ray Allen was still with the Milwaukee Bucks at the time. He took our entire team. I think he took some of the press too, out to this restaurant called the Velvet Room. Phenomenal dinner. Michael Redd came. And I remember we were walking out to our bus afterwards, and there was an Escalade parked out front. It was his. And the license plate said Jesus. That's what he got to film the movie He Got Game.
Really?
Yes. He was.
And then we went to the White House with the Maryland team, obviously, because we won that year and they won. They were a bunch of nice guys. That was a good team too.
Steve Blake and that crew was really good.
Yeah, they were really good.
Really good team. Steve Blake's the reason they won that game.
Yeah.
At the Carrier Dome.
Yeah. Who was the guard? The other guard, was it Dixon at the time?
Yes, Juan Dixon.
Juan Dixon. He was really good.
Yeah.
He could play.
Yep.
And they had a big man too. I can't remember.
We're aging ourselves, Joe. I can't even believe I remember all that.
You get just because you're smart, Maria. That's all.
I can't remember Tuesday, but I can remember that.
Christy said,
Marcus I have stuff Cox that I can remember that I could tell you in an off-air podcast that would make your hair curl.
Yeah.
I might need that today. My hair's kind of messy.
Not as messy as Schumann's.
Well, he said Marcus Cox. Christy said,
"Are you sick, Dave?"
Yeah, Dave's very sick.
I'm messed up.
With pain.
He hasn't
He's playing
slept
with pain.
in a month. He hasn't
My,
slept
my,
in a month.
my son threw up 14 times.
I was salmon, Dave. I told you.
Oh,
You
he
gave the
was
kid
sick,
salmon.
dude.
It's
He
the
was
stomach
sick.
that listen, the stomach bug, we had it during Christmas, my whole house. It was rough. It was a rough 24 to 48 hours. Everybody we went down like dominoes.
Yeah, now I'm the one going down.
Yeah.
So, Joe, Uconn, Georgetown. Anything on that? You see,
Well,
just
Lonnie Baxter was the Maryland big guy. Lonnie
Yeah.
Baxter was terrific. He was a
that's what.
he was a
Okay,
man.
that's what I was
And
thinking
Chris
about.
Wilcox. Oh, you're right, Maria. That was a phenomenal team. They
Oh,
don't get
yeah.
enough credit for being as good. Georgetown will be interesting because a kid who never played last year for us, Isaiah Abraham, transferred to Georgetown,
Right.
and he's having a pretty good year for them. But no, I don't think it's a game
Just a
to
game.
sweat about. I mean, if UConn plays its game, they win by double digits, and then they get a week off. They don't play next week until Villanova.
No, they don't. They're off.
Following
Yeah.
Saturday. So
And then the women have Villanova Thursday, and then the big
tonight.
game.
Then they got Notre Dame.
Today's Thursday. I keep forgetting today's Thursday.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then Notre Dame's Monday.
Villanova's second in the Big East, which means nothing in the world of UConn because, they can beat the number 2 team in the country potentially. But they'll win double digits tonight versus Villanova, in front of the national championship crew.
Yep.
And, I anticipate them winning by double digits against Notre Dame too.
Yeah. Yeah, you've said that. You've said that all along. You can give Hidalgo all her points and just snuff everybody else.
Just guard her. Or
win.
just let her shoot and just don't let anybody else score.
And you'll win by 15, 20 points.
Yep. So
is Notre Dame, are they ranked?
No,
they're not that good.
Okay.
No, I mean, Olivia Miles left. She went to TCU. They don't really have a strong. I mean, they graduated a lot last year.
They did. They did.
They lost obviously Miles. They lost Citron. They lost that other big who was decent. Yeah. I mean, Sonia Citron was really good. I actually last night at our game, Sidney Johnson, I coached his daughter at GFA, and he's the head coach of the Washington Mystics now. He came to our game last night.
Yes.
So I was chatting with him a little bit about, some of the kids out there. And he's like, he said the sophomore class, which I agree with, the sophomore class right now, which technically would be Juju's class as well if she stays for that year that she'll have, is completely loaded across the country, that sophomore class.
Right. So that is great. Dave, anything to add other than some
Sleep.
snot and sleep? Okay.
Well, we got to do our football. We got to do our NFL picks.
Oh,
we did them last week.
Yeah.
And Maria's got to jump into. By the way, last week, Cully had the Green Bay pick. That worked out well. Shu took Carolina. That was a gem. And I took the Chargers. That was fucking brilliant. So
yes.
Those were our dog shit picks of the week. All right, here we go. First off, on Saturday, the Broncos are only 1.5 favorites at home over the Josh Allen Bills.
Buffalo all the way.
Are we picking just the winner, or are we picking the spread?
I would say the spread.
The spread, yeah.
I'd take the Bills in that too.
Shu?
Bills all the way.
I'm going to go Denver.
Yeah.
I think
where is the game at?
It's at
That's
Denver.
in Denver.
And they have a tough defense.
And they've been off a week.
Great. Yeah.
So, all right. 49ers are 7-point underdogs at Seattle.
Yeah. I am going with the 49ers here, even though I love Sam Darnold.
Maria?
7 points is a lot. So if I'm going spread, I'm going 49ers.
Shu?
Me too. Boring, but
I'm going Seattle because I think the 49ers injuries finally catch up with them.
Yeah, George Kittle's
I think they're all banged up. All right. Well, you know which way I'm leaning in this one. because there's a team I can't pick. Texans are 3-point underdogs at the Patriots. I'm all over Houston.
Mike Vrabel's just done an incredible job, and
I'm going Pats. I think the Pats.
I gotta go with New England. Yeah,
Schumann,
I know.
You know what? I'll go with Houston.
good.
You are not
Smart
going
man.
with Houston.
I can't root for the Patriots.
Nope,
Yeah,
ever.
I know.
Ever.
I know.
I would root for Notre Dame before I rooted for the Patriots.
Well,
And
That's
then the
saying a lot,
Rams.
Joe. Wow.
Huh?
That's saying a lot. Wow.
That is
Yeah.
saying a lot.
And then the Rams are 4-point favorites at Chicago.
yeah, and the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford having 46 touchdowns, throwing for over 4,000 yards this year.
I'm going
He
Rams.
is on fire. I would pick the Rams all the way.
I'll go Bears. I like the Bears.
I think the Bears are on a magic carpet ride.
They won their first playoff game in forever. So yeah,
I changed my view on Caleb Williams after watching that game.
Oh my God! Right?
Ben
Seriously.
Johnson.
Maria, give us a scouting report on Vermont State Castleton.
They're down a lot of players. I'm going to say it right now. If we don't win, I might resign.
No!
Oh, wow. Wow, that's like news. That's actually news.
That's breaking news.
That's actually news. Oh, my goodness.
I might tweet that out.
Listen, our Wolves right now, like we have been in every single game, which is awesome, right? Because last year we just got blown out at so many games. It's like tough, but we just struggled. We're struggling with foul trouble with key players right now. We played yesterday's game with our best guard, our transfer D2 played 13 minutes because of foul trouble. And then when we were at UMass Dartmouth over the weekend, our best post player, who's averaging a double-double, played 12 minutes. So it's really hard to win games when your two best players are constantly in foul trouble. It's just tough. But we should.
Is it officiating, or are they?
Listen, it's some of it. I mean, UMass Dartmouth, we got called for like 7 charges that to me were just flops. But
wow.
Yesterday was just, Keene State hit like 12 threes. Everything that they threw up at the rim seems to go in.
Have you gotten any technicals this year?
I got one. I got my first technical.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's terrific.
Maria never gets mad.
But listen, guys, this is like, it's such a bad technical. I shouldn't even claim it. It was when we were in Puerto Rico, and the refs didn't speak English, and there was a kid that got hurt on the other team because they were letting it get too physical. And then the very next play, one of my best players gets shoved from behind going for a layup and falls pretty hard, no foul. So the guy was coming up the sideline, and I said, you gotta start calling that shit, or somebody else is gonna get hurt. Technical. It wasn't even a good one.
Did you say in English or Spanish?
Yeah, I mean, if I said in Spanish, maybe I wouldn't have gotten teed up. I don't know. But yeah, that's my first career technical as a player or as a coach.
You should just ask him where the beach is from now on. Just
what's that?
Every time you're mad, just go a la playa.
Yeah.
In the pina colada.
But I still have yet to be teed up in the continental U.S. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
All right. I used to be a CYO coach a long time ago, 16 or 17-year-olds. I think I set the CYO record for technicals.
Yeah.
I was merciless on the officials.
Listen, refs have a hard job. I understand that, but I will say I feel like refs are very sensitive nowadays. They're very sensitive.
And they are. They
pay way too much attention to what everybody's saying to them instead of just I got to be honest, I don't hear when I'm coaching. I'm so locked in.
No, you're locked in. Yeah.
So to me, for a ref to hear someone in the crowd say something, blah, blah, blah. Last night, Joe, for our men's game, because it was a doubleheader, it was the second half, and a kid from Keene State, one of the hockey players from our school, was heckling him. He on a dead ball, him and another kid ran into the stands to fight the kids in the stands. 2 players.
Really?
I've never seen that.
That I love. That's
You know,
awesome.
Obviously, we've seen that with, like, what was it, the Detroit Pistons and
Oh yeah, the
And
brawl.
Indiana.
But, like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've never seen that in college basketball. Like a
The
player
best
who's
one in
on the court
hockey,
playing run into the stands.
the best one in hockey was when the Bruins went into the stands at Madison Square Garden, and Mike Milbury, who was a Bruins defenseman at the time, took a guy's shoe off and started hitting him in the head with his shoe.
Oh, with the skate?
No, with his the
Oh,
guy.
with
No,
the
no,
shoe.
no.
Oh,
No,
I
the
was thinking of the other
spectator's
one.
shoe.
Okay.
It's like a penny loafer or some crap like
I
that.
got you.
And just started beating him. Hey, I got a question, Colin. The game at Eastern, is that a doubleheader or is that just women?
Doubleheader.
All right, because I'm coming to that game.
Yeah, we're at 5, or we're either at 5 or
5 o'clock.
and the men are right after us.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Maria,
I'll expect a VIP seat on the bench.
I
at
got
the end
you.
of the bench.
I got you.
I just need to, if you can check February 25th, if I would be allowed to stay at your abode.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, listen,
That's what you got to say, Maria, right below there. That's what you
I
gotta say.
couldn't. I literally couldn't tell you what I'm doing next
Just tell
week,
the
but,
referees they're
I
handsome.
know.
Me
You are
casa,
handsome.
su casa.
I won't be there long. I just need a place to stay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
Wow,
But
look
again,
at you, Cully. Getting
dude, I've when this documentary's been shot, I've been coming and staying with Maria, and Maria has been very gracious as a host.
The best day to
me
come.
about doing that, Cully.
She built the deck. What?
Yeah, I'm
They
quite the
never
builder.
contacted me about doing that. Talking
Oh,
about doing
she
that.
said she did. She said she
No,
did.
she didn't.
Oh, she said
she
she left you. She said she left you a message, but I'll
You got to tell them the new direction you're going to go.
yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Listen, the best day of the week to come stay at the Conlon household is Wednesdays, because the big Tim Conlon, it's National Tim Day. He's off every Wednesday. So usually the scotch or the whiskey.
Yes, I get the whiskey. Yes, he gives me the whiskey. That's true.
That's the best day to come stay here, if anyone's wondering.
That's perfect. But yes, Joe, I will tell her, because she did claim she left you a voicemail, but maybe
I might have gotten it a scam likely and didn't pay attention.
Probably. I'll let her know. I'll have her email you too. I'll just give her your email.
Yeah, have her. You know what, Cully? You got my number.
Or message.
Just have her text me. Just have her text me.
Yeah.
You got my number.
Okay. So another banner episode of Husky Hoops. Coach Schumann, I hope you feel better. Actually, I don't, but no, I do. But
I like
you need
the
to
hair
sleep.
too. I'm jealous of the hair.
You need to sleep. Stop giving your kids salmon. Uconn legend Maria Conlon, Western Connecticut State University head coach, and the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D. I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life. And I'm Steve Cully.